we do that in everything else we do in life. Whenever we do something that requires, say, a lot of effort or a lot of investment, we usually try to ensure against a bad outcome, bad things happening. Acetyl L-carnitine is essentially that insurance, whether you're talking about fat-burning metabolism, where we work very hard to achieve it, or whether we're talking about our brain or our heart, organs that hopefully we take good care of in terms of our diet and lifestyle. But this becomes a tool that ensures and supports the best results from those efforts.
Well, Andrew, we're going to go, obviously, to our 2 remaining monthly specials. May was the month where we celebrate the mums of the world. And as a result, you chose the incredible Ultimate Women's Wellness, a product that has gone through so many enhancements over the years. Andrew, a natural tool that has helped so many for so long. And I always find it funny to hear you say that way back when, this was kind of an interesting subject that was a bit prohibited. You weren't allowed to say certain things.
Oh, it was prohibited. It was controversial.
Right.
Because back in the day, I guess I've been making vitamins for too long.
A few years.
Too long, but for a long time, 40 years. But back in the day, menopause, perimenopause, and their symptoms, perimenopause and menopause were considered a disease, and therefore their symptoms were a symptom of a disease. Supplements can't be sold to treat symptoms of a disease. So I respected the law. So even though it was unfair, I respected the law. So we couldn't talk about the role this product has in terms of hot flashes, night sweats, the interruptions of sleep that accompany perimenopause and menopause, the mood disturbances. And of course, every woman is very different in how they experience these things.
Right.
But the underlying hormonal chemistry, that is not different.
Right.
And basically what we did with this product, we took a page out of research from Asia, took a page out of the Asian diet and the clinical studies in Asia that talked about how the natural plant-based components in this product support you through that natural transition that is menopause and perimenopause. And it's a product that most people view it with a great deal of skepticism, but it's a product that when you read the reviews, usually things are said like the desert island product. If there's only one product I can take, this would be it. Or it's talked about the fact that it's the most unexpected, surprising benefit that you could ever get from a natural product.
And that's the thing, as Andrew, as you always say, because your products are all natural, all pure, with none of the bad stuff in it, there's no downside to this. There's just no risk to this, correct?
And certainly when the other options are hormone replacement therapy, and as I say, the synthetic hormones have long been established, and I've talked about this on television for over 20 years, have long been established to come with significant risks and without all the benefits that had been anticipated. So synthetic hormones for the symptoms of menopause or perimenopause are something that you need to have a serious conversation with your doctor about. And if you're going to use hormones, it's best to talk to your endocrinologist or your doctor about bioidentical, meaning hormones that emulate the exact hormones present in your body. But this is not hormones. This is not drugs or medicines. This is just a natural tool that comes out of the Asian diet, where the experience of menopause, thanks to that Asian diet, is not experienced the same as it is here in America. And it's the lessons we learn when we look at different behaviors around the world. We learned about the Mediterranean diet in just that fashion, how healthy olive oil is, how healthy it is to enjoy the foods and the lifestyle present in certain parts of the world. Specifically, if we look at the Mediterranean region and Asia, Americans, we all have a tremendous amount to learn. Right. And unfortunately, the traditional diet here, the ones I grew up on, we all grew up on, is not necessarily healthy when it comes to the health of our heart, our brain, and how we go through transitions in life, like perimenopause and menopause.
Well, I'll read just one review so everybody at home gets some idea of how beloved this product is. I mean, truly beloved. No more hot flashes. I started taking the Women's Wellness supplement when I started having those awful hot flashes. I refer to them as my own personal summers. Nothing is worse than taking care of your patients. I am an ER registered nurse and suddenly starting to sweat with the sweat running down your face. I cannot and will not go a day without these. Please do not stop making these vitamins. I mean, that's true high praise, and the pricing tonight is really fantastic. Again, this pricing is coming to a close at the end of the month. So the best pricing of the year is happening right now. The best pricing of the year on the 60 caps, the 180 and the 360. We know you're gonna love these, which is why most people are going for the 360. You save again nearly as much as you're spending. It's a fabulous product, Andrew.
Yeah, it's almost buy one, get one free.
Yes.
And of course, all of this at the end of a monthly special. This on all three products, on the acetyl L-carnitine, on the Ultimate Women's Wellness, and on the men's prostate product. These are all products that will not be today's specials, and this is the best pricing of the year. This is today's special pricing that will